A joint operation involving SARS, Customs and Police seized 25 million rands worth of cocaine at OR Tambo International Airport yesterday. The cocaine was reportedly found in an unaccompanied bag on a carousel from Brazil, bound for the DRC. No arrests have yet been made, but in recent weeks, police have apprehended several drug traffickers at the airport. In a statement, SARS Commissioner Edward Kesvetter says those involved will be brought to book. Well, Willem Els is with the Institute for Security Studies and joins us now for some analysis on that story. Willem, yet another drug bust at OR Tambo International Airport.
Good evening, Michelle. Yes, I think we should congratulate the authorities at the airport. It seems that in recent weeks they had numerous successes, and all of that is just an indication that that points to better cooperation between the various agencies in Brazil and here in South Africa that leads to the arrest of these suspects.
So you're saying there must have been some kind of cooperation between South African authorities and those in Brazil?
Yes, yes. All the indications are there because all of these type of operations are intelligence driven, and it's normally when these organizations work together, they will forward some intelligence. You know, whenever your luggage is being checked in some of the airports, they do scan even the checked-in luggage, and if they then suspect or find something that is suspicious, they then alert the authorities on the other side that is then on the lookout for these type of luggage.
I see. I always wonder, Willem, when we make busts of this nature, 25 million rand in terms of cocaine and in terms of the broader picture of drug trafficking, is that a drop in the ocean or is that a significant bust?
It's a very significant bust, but we must always remember that we look on a rule of thumb. We work on for every bust, there's about 20 that got through. So even though it's a success, this is just an indication to us that these syndicates are very active. They are, of course, targeting South Africa as the southern route towards Asia, but also up north. As was indicated in this case, where this luggage was actually checked through to DRC, and from there we suspect that it would have gone up to Europe.
Right. And of course it comes, you know, we've got 14 suspected drug mules that were arrested at OR Tambo International Airport in the past 2 months or so. Is that, Willem, alarming for you? And does it say something about perhaps the targeting of our particular part of the world insofar as drug trafficking is concerned?
Yeah, as I mentioned, South Africa is known as a southern route from the west, and that is mainly from Brazil because of the direct flight from Sao Paulo. Those flights are being targeted, but also the marine, the vessels are being targeted that drop off some of these drugs along our coast, and then they are picked up by fisher boats, as was the case. We had some 2 or 3 busts in the last 2 years where that has happened. So that is an indication that South Africa became the route because of conditions that are conducive within South Africa for these syndicates to operate, as we saw with the various busts of the drug labs as well. And then the other route that is also coming from the north is from Pakistan, with the heroin that is coming along the east coast. And from here, South Africa, those that are not consumed here, it is disseminated to Europe and to America. So yes, we became a major hub because of the conditions in South Africa.
And when you say, you know, there are certain conditions that makes it conducive for drug syndicates to operate here in South Africa, what are those conditions?
Well, in the first place, you know, for these international or transnational organized crime syndicates, in order for them to be successful, they have to compromise state actors. So if you look at the ENACT TOC index, you will see that South Africa ranks quite high where it comes to the compromising of state actors. And these state actors are any actor that is working for the state that is in a position to either protect or to facilitate for these syndicates. And that can be on a political level as well as high level of your police, your customs, and all these authorities that can play a role. So they are relentlessly targeted by these syndicates in order to be successful in South Africa. And apparently they are getting away with it because we see there's a steep increase.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that you know, we're we're not alone in this as a country, that there are many other countries, even in the West, that face similar problems insofar as drug trafficking and syndicates are concerned?
Of course, yeah, it's a multi-billion dollar operation, and it's driven by demand. So as long as there's a demand, there will be the supply that will come. What we saw, especially with the heroin route that was from the Middle East and from your Arabic countries that moved towards Europe, they managed to close those routes to a great extent, and that's why they started to use the South African routes where there was less resistance. So there is a huge demand, and as long as that demand is there, we will face these problems, and that is why it is so important that we have this international cooperation between these agencies.
Yeah, when we celebrate things like a direct route from South Africa to Sao Paulo, tourism and the like, there's a darker side to that.
Yeah. Earlier years, the route from Rio de Janeiro to Cape Town in Johannesburg was a targeted route, because that was the only route apart from to the one to Argentina that actually flew direct to South Africa. Now it's a Sao Paulo route, and as it was indicated in the numerous arrests, it definitely became a target. And what they normally do, these syndicates, they will swarm the aircraft with more than up to 5 or 6 of these mules will be on one plane, and then sometimes they will compromise one of the mules that are then be arrested in order for the others to get through. So, but police is looking into that.
Sure. So it really is like the movies we've seen, Willem. And it's incredibly worrying, isn't it, that, earlier in our discussion you mentioned for every one drug mule that is apprehended, I think you said 20 gets away? It sounds like a problem that is almost out of control of authorities.
It is, and it's been there for a long time. And what is encouraging in South Africa, these criminals, they're not scared of technology. They exploit technology and new technology in order to further their cause. But we saw that with the new strategy of the Minister of Police, that he embraced technology and is going to deploy and employ technology to a bigger extent in order to make the police more effective in the battle against crime. And we believe that might be successful.
So, when we talk about, Willem, drug mules, when we talk about demand for these drugs, and I think for people perhaps, excuse me, who are not in the industry, we wonder whether drugs like cocaine, like heroin, when you talk about the fact that there is clearly demand, and that's why these syndicates continue to operate. I mean, compared to 20 years ago, would you say that has increased, stayed the same?
Yeah, I think even South Africa, with the development of our country, and also with our open borders, or more open borders after 94, it became a target. But also, it's been a problem on the Cape Flats, for instance, where with the mandrax and all the other drugs that are locally manufactured and imported also, and methamphetamines are currently big. A lot of them are being either manufactured here in South Africa, as with the drug labs, but also we noted a steep increase in the importation of these type of drugs from Mozambique and Tanzania.
Willem Els, let me thank you for your time. I was about to say this evening, but it is this evening. Willem is a senior training coordinator on terrorism and explosives. He's with the Institute for Security Studies, and that's as we track that substantial quantity of cocaine, estimated at 25 million rand, intercepted at OR Tambo International Airport.
All right, so the big fish we've been waiting for is here. I know I have discussed this topic exhaustively. Bear with me, but I think we've come to the natural end of the drugs at OR Tambo that keep getting found. If you remember in my last video around this topic, when I covered the topic of another drug mule that has been found, and the fact that, remember, that the drug mules, or the people that bring in the drugs in their stomachs, are a decoy, or a way of us looking away from the real high-ticket items, right? And the high-ticket items is the 25 million worth of drugs that were found at OR Tambo that were from Brazil, headed to Angola or somewhere in Africa, but expected to actually be going into Europe. via this whole way. So even though we have been dealing with drug mules, here is a high ticket item. If you remember, I had spoken to an expert, and I'd actually heard from, also heard from another video of someone who was a former drug mule to help us understand how it actually happens. That when there's a drug mule, there's a bigger thing that they're turning the authorities away from while they're excited about finding a drug mule, because there's always a tip off. The question is, who's tipping them off and what are they trying to distract them from? And this time, drugs were found. How heartless must you be to use people as pawns in your scheme to kill the world? Because cocaine kills families, kills children, kills men, women. Literally, it destroys. There's nothing good that comes out of cocaine for people who actually use the stuff. How heartless must you be to allow someone's child, someone's mother, someone's sister, someone's brother to walk through OR Tambo filled with cocaine in their stomachs, where if anything goes wrong with those bullets, things that they put the cocaine in, they could instantly die. But if they do not burst open, if they actually survive that in their stomach, and happen not to make it through customs because somebody tipped them off of them, they spend years, 15 years plus in jail for carrying those drugs in their stomachs. How heartless must you be to destroy people's lives that badly and not care that someone's, we've got women here we covered a story in the woman from Paraguay who is in jail in Sun City in Johannesburg and will be there for years and has not seen, doesn't get even visitors because her family is not even in the country, right? But I understand that these are just casualties. Those who actually operate these, who actually draw, the ones who are actually in control, civilians, they don't care about the lives that are ruined on a daily basis because of these operations. And I suppose you can say it's a drugs mule's fault. They agreed to this. But you understand that we all have financial constraints, so much that you can find yourself agreeing to doing something illegal, hoping that you will be lucky enough that you then don't get caught and get away with it and make money that can change your family. The woman from Paraguay, this was the second time she was coming into the country. Even though this time she did it once, went through, and this time she was pressured into doing it because now obviously she was in bed with criminals who then threatened her, that they would report her and do whatever case, but they threatened her now to actually participate the second time. And it turns out the second time would be the last time for her to ever do this. Okay, I'll get out of my soapbox now. But I think it's a reflection on how also our society is just so totally destroyed that people will prey on people's desperation and not even care about the lives that they ruin. What have we come to? What have we come to as humanity, And it's been like this for years. It's not the first time. But I'm really hoping that someone out there who's thinking about doing this, think about participating, who are finding themselves in this trip to just abort this mission. Nobody really cares about the drug mules, right? So what? They catch drugs in someone's stomach that are worth 600,000 rands, yet they are turning them away from the 25 million rands. And they've caught quite I forget the number now, I think it was at 14 drug mules. Now, let's assume there were 25 million worth of drugs that they were turning us away from versus how much a drug mule carries in their stomachs. It really is nothing compared to how much they're actually making. They are willing to lose whatever the drug mule is carrying in order to actually get through the 25 million. It's the cost of doing business, I guess. It's the cost of doing business with money. It's a cost of doing business with people's lives. Yeah. We are here as humanity.